Hello and welcome to my special episode on the podcast series. Well, this time we're talking about the budget 2020. This budget was much looked forward to for some stimulus to revive the economy. Well, I'm lucky today to be joined by the leading business journalist who has been much celebrated for his banking and financial knowledge, stories and opinion. Yes, I'm talking about Tamal Bandyopadhyay. Listen in my conversation with him to know what he thinks the budget has brought in for us this time.
So thank you first for sparing time for us to discuss about the much awaited budget 2020 that we were waiting for. Beginning to ask from you, was this budget a good budget? In a sense, was this budget what we were waiting for or what India was waiting for after this economic slowdown as perceived to be?
It all depends on good, bad or ugly, what was the expectation. Market has given it a thumbs down. So it's a very long budget. Market was opened on a Saturday and Sensex down close to 1,000 points. So obviously the first reaction is not that good, but I think we need to read the fine print to see the, lot of things which will get clarity over the next few days. But what I primarily find is, it's a very, what I would say is, are we making things simple or are we making things more complicated? That's the kind of ambiguity what I saw. For instance, look after the personal income tax. You are supposedly giving relief, bringing down the tax rate and cutting it into 5 different kind of slabs. And at the same time, you are taking away from all the kind of exemptions where people are enjoying. And at the same time, of course, indeed, you are saying that there is some 70 odd exemptions, etc. that have been taken away, so on and so forth. But at the same time, you are giving the options whether you would like to stick to the old regime or the new regime. So one really needs to break your head to figure out where does one stand? Is the person getting how many $1,000 extra or less? Because the different kind of investments what people are doing, the kind of tax benefit they are getting from there, and the state of income tax benefit what they will get. So it is, and then you are allowing both the regimes to continue at the same time. So it's becoming more complex.
Expenditure part of which when I say banks were expecting, they were expecting some demand pickup stimulus, infrastructure or capital expenditure, because the loan book needs to see a growth in going further. As the banks say, they have a lot of capital, but they don't know where the demand will come from. How do you look at that?
There's nothing much to talk about, as I said. I mean, there is this budget talks about trust, the budget talks about, there's a very long preamble, bouquet of flowers giving to the Indians, everything is fine. But as I said, the kind of contradiction. On the one hand, we are talking about taking LIC to the market, and even in the entire issue, the bulk of the investment money, which is now quite a substantial amount. We are talking about around 2 trillion rupees coming from the disinvestment, supposedly through IPO of LIC and selling IDBI stake in the market. Now, where will IDBI have any takers? IDBI, what kind of stake from the market to IDBI to get? To generate through IDBI and into IPO. And the way the entire, taking the advantage, the tax advantage out from that will, LIC will be the most hard, because if you see the LIC clientele, they are not HNIs. LIC actually target those people who are, not that the kind of income category or the retired persons who get a lot of tax benefit by putting in money in the LIC policies and all. And when you take away this and you are encouraging people to get into the lower tax bracket, lower tax slab, and give up all the other kind of exemption they are getting, then where would LIC stand? And which is why you will find that all the insurance stocks have been beaten. I mean, the market has gone down, but insurance stocks...
Terribly, I think insurance stock had a good dip over there, yes.
Yeah, so then how would you take LIC to the market? So these are the issues. I think it's a very, very complex budget. It's a long preamble budget, but at the end of the day, where is there? Dividend talks, again, giving more money to individuals, but then you are now, dividend tax is abolished for the corporate, but the individuals now need to pay on the dividend. So I'm not very sure how much extra money people will get in their hands. But there are a few things which have done, I think, from the equity markets point of view. The dividend tax abolition will definitely encourage investors. Then find that higher foreign investment in the corporate bond market. That
they have been given more room.
Yeah, they have given more room, etc. So I think on the equity side, we have foreign investors more encouraged in the Indian markets. Few things have happened, but the kind of expectations are very high that we have big bang reform, big bang structural reforms, so on and so forth. And when you have a government with this kind of majority, there are a lot of things could have been done much more.
Now they might have put some benefit, some money in the hands of people, as you say. Some investment will come in infrastructure. Slow, as they say, 22,000 crores already been released out of 103 lakh crores. How do you see now banks do their business in the few quarters ahead?
No, I don't see much there for Philip to encourage banks investment, because bank is nothing but an intermediary. So unless the the overall economy is doing well, there is a corporate demand for investment, then only the banks can give money. Then only can the credit pickup can happen. So is this the kind of budget that we have, which will suddenly unleash the animal spirit in economy? I'm not very sure about that, which is why I think, thanks to the finance minister, she was very conservative about her approach about the estimate of growth. She spoke about nominal GDP growth 10% for fiscal 2021, which is lesser than what the economic survey is expecting. Economic survey spoke about real GDP growth 6 to 6.5%. Now, all of us know that inflation will be not as low as we have seen in the current past. So if the inflation is if you find that average inflation is about 5% odd next year, then you are talking, or 4.5%, then you are talking about 5.5% nominal real GDP growth. So, and if indeed GDP, our economic growth is not that higher than that, then where would the banks, who will make investment, and where will the bank credit go? One positive thing about creating trust happened is announcing that no bank will be allowed to sell, no scheduled bank, no scheduled commercial bank will be allowed to sell, which was long overdue. I think 2004 was the last time we did. Is the insurance, deposit insurance,
the security to the depositor.
That's right. So from 1 lakh to 5 lakh. So that will help on the liability side. I think some of the new small finance banks which have been struggling to create trust and encourage people to keep money with them, I think that will make life a little easier for them, even though the cost will go up, because the hike in this, the 5-fold hike from 1 lakh to 5 lakh, deposit cover will not come free. So their cost will go up, but it will create, I think, it's a good thing on the liability side for the banks, that no banks will be allowed to fail.
What could really maintain the pace or hope in the people in the country now, taking this budget forward and yet hoping for things to fall in place?
So I wish I'm qualified to say that. I think the intent was there. I think there is a long preamble about creating trust and giving flowers and taking care of everybody. The budget is all about aspiration, about taking care of India, about economic growth. But a large part of the budget, and this various quotes from poets from the different regions of India, from Kalidasa to poets from Chennai, and French poet was quoted. So So that's all good. But when it comes to action, is this enough to unleash the animal spirit? I'm not very sure. But overall, I think the foreign investors should be happy. They will continue to look for income and invest in Indian. I think we are betting big on the equity side. For the flow of money, to flow of money to continue or to increase. I don't think, it's sort of, if you look at the growth story, I think it's bottomed out. So from now on, it can only go up. I think we just need to give it time. People are probably expecting too much. The budget will have some magic wand and overnight things will change. It will not. Let the market digest. We'll see probably Monday. We'll see a different story as we read out. But at this point of time, whether the dividend tax outgo, who's the loser and who is the gainer, or the income tax for individuals, bringing it down the new slabs, and at the same time taking away all the exemptions. How much you gain? Will you gain at all? And if you, so these are the things we need to see the fine print. And so overall, good part is sticking to fiscal deficit target because everybody was expecting 80 basis points. You are given the leeway, the escape clause in the FRBM code that is used. Next year, you have not deviated from the fiscal deficit target. Point of view, the glide path 3.5. So that's not a bad story. On the liquidity, so after this we need to see the Reserve Bank of India policy, which will be unveiled on 6th. I think that will be sort of status quo.
Well, that is all we have in this episode of Budget 2020, where Tamal Bandyopadhyay has highlighted clearly what was done right and could go wrong. Trust building in depositors, allowing no bank to fail. New direct tax regime will see the benefits being cheered by people. But will LIC IPO go down well is yet to be seen. Has enough money been given in hands of people? Will the budget walk its talk? We leave you with that thought till I bring in more views from people across sectors. Keep listening.